A proposed Florida law known as Cody's Law could end up being the test case for getting all 50 states to pass greater protections for the vaccine injured. In the wake of the COVID-19 forced vaccinations, even Harvard scientists are sounding the alarm about vaccine injuries by advising their peers to take the claims of vaccine injured people far more seriously. After receiving the mRNA shot for COVID-19 in 2021, a young man named Cody Hudson immediately developed extreme vaccine-related injuries, including a large pulmonary embolism. Of course, there was no recourse for Cody and his family because our government takes the side of big pharma rather than we, the people, when it comes to things like vaccine injury. That's why Heather Hudson, Cody's mom, and Nick Cataruno, an advocate and family friend of the Hudsons, are fighting for Florida's state government to pass Cody's Law. And we're now joined by both Nick and Heather. Thank you both for being here. It's heart-wrenching when you hear the stories of the vaccine injured and their families, because for far too long, victims of the jabs were not taken seriously, Heather. So we're very sorry for what your family's been through. But you've taken action. You move forward. Tell us why you decided to get involved in the push for legislation.
So in Cody's case, he's actually terminally ill. He's extremely sick. He has an autoimmune blood clotting disorder that he's left with for life, and it is life-threatening. He can have blood clots at any time that can end his life. And so every day is a blessing with Cody. He has a wonderful team here in Florida of physicians, but we also have a very tight-knit team of medical freedom and vaccine injured families. So we're not alone. But as I try to get Cody help and medical care, the medical centers are not friendly to let me just say, like the fiat medical centers, the larger hospital systems, the larger universities are not easy to work with on these vaccine injuries. And so we have to work with independent doctors. And in doing so, the medication for Cody that might save his life, we found out would cost upwards of $60,000. And so we tried to apply for Social Security disability for him. And he went through a year-long process just clinging on to life. And even though he has multiple doctors that diagnosed him as disabled and that he has a terminal illness, he was denied his disability claim. His doctors were floored. The vaccine injury community was floored. And so I wrote Cody's Law in order to try to get help. When a cancer patient goes to the hospital and is diagnosed with cancer, they immediately have a social worker that comes into the room and starts working with them to get care through compassionate allowances, which is a program that essentially just expedites the claims process, nothing more. It just expedites it. So when I wrote Cody's Law, that's what we're asking for, is an expediting of the claims process. We're also asking for the patient's doctors' determinations of disability to guide the process, because in Congress, even in their reports on the vaccine injuries from COVID-19, they acknowledge that HHS and the Public Health Department have not acknowledged, in fact, they alienated and dismissed the vaccine injured. And that means that all of the codes that should have been put in place for them to get the insurance or get to disability, they're still not in place. So we're left very much on our own. And Cody's Law would circumvent that and allow the doctors to make the determinations, and then it would expedite the claims processes, which can be anywhere from 1 to 6 years. We thought we would get a great deal of support because Governor DeSantis has been behind closed doors making calls. His team has been making calls to the vaccine injured families and those who would help in this process since 2022. We've also had multiple advocates, including Nick, attorneys and doctors that Nick is affiliated with, contact Governor DeSantis and Dr. Latipo about Cody's case and about getting Cody's Law forward. And we had indications that they would help. And all of a sudden, we started getting confusing inaction and getting ghosted even. So we were confused as to why Governor DeSantis and Dr. Latipo and even Casey DeSantis would not help. And so Cody's Law received absolutely no help from our top politicians in Florida, even though it had 4 sponsors, 2 in the House and 2 in the Senate and the legislature. So Nick is not a stranger to this happening in our state, having these medical freedom bills being squashed. And so he knows a little bit about that part of it.
So what is going on, Nick?
Well, it just, when everybody around the country is looking at Florida, we're looking at Governor DeSantis. We see he took the lead in the country over COVID and the lockdowns. But prior to him being against the vaccines, he was very pro-vaccine. And there was a lot of damage done as a result of that. There wasn't one governor or one legislator or anybody in any area of politics that wasn't pushing the shots or remaining quiet while it was happening. But fortunately, in the state of Florida, we have Ladapo has called it the Antichrist of medicine. We have the governor has been on town halls and press conferences with vaccine injured. He's openly proclaimed there are vaccine injuries. But the mysterious thing is nobody wants to do anything about it. I don't know if you've ever seen that commercial where there's a bank robbery in progress and the cop in the bank says there's a bank robbery in progress, and the people on the floor go, well, do something, because I'm not here to do anything. I'm just here to tell you what's happening. And that seems to be what we're having in the state of Florida. What we've noticed with different legislations that we've done a couple of years ago and different programs, every time we have people that want to support and want to help, and it looks very positive, somebody seems to get to them and shut it down. I was working with Karen Kingston, and Karen and I and other activists had sheriffs that we were going to bring criminal complaints with the vaccine injury. We had sheriff that was very on board. The next thing you know, he got spooked, shut it down, said there was a grand jury in progress and it would be illegal to do anything. We had Joel Rudman, who was the only physician in the Florida legislature. Heather and I had met with him personally at an event, Dr. Littell's event. He was very much on board. I was talking to his aide, and all of a sudden he got pulled to go national. And the next thing we know, he couldn't help us. And then he never even went national. So there's a lot of circumstances, but and I could spend a lot of time talking about so many things that have happened. But the grievous thing around the country is, like, I think John Rich has a video out that's circulating that he talked to Trump about the vaccine injuries.
Yeah.
And he says nobody knows, everybody's in touch with somebody that's either died or been injured by these things. We all know it. My neighbor's adult son died in his sleep. In 2-week time, I had 4 people, including some people in my family, die in their sleep. And I had a family member, 39 years old, with 3 kids in the house, went to the garage and dropped dead. Something's going on. We all know it. And yet nobody's willing to address the situation. And what we're asking with Cody's Law, at the very least, it's a tip of the iceberg, help these people who did what they were told to do, right? They were coerced, they were manipulated, they were encouraged, don't kill grandma, don't go home and kill mom. We can't just abandon them. And my greatest fear is that we start turning out like Canada, where some of the injured are being acknowledged and saying, we know we injured you, but we're going to offer you, assisted suicide. And it's that danger of the loss of value of life that really scares me, because if we allow the injured to go unacknowledged and unhelped, and we try to move on and leave all these people behind us, we're falling as a society, and we're opening the door to the next slippery slope down. And it's not like I'm guessing this or trying to predict it. We're seeing it in Canada. We're seeing it in other places. I know injured here in the state of Florida that were desperate and could not find answers, and they were talking to doctors in Colorado that would kill them. So this is even happening here in the United States. And I'm sure you're aware people have committed a suicide. They're not, Cody, as troubled as he is health-wise, he has a family supporting him. Imagine if he was alone. We have a friend, Michelle Utter, who's by herself, that's selling everything she's got. And she's going down, and she has to choose between, am I going to pay the rent? Am I going to, and everybody's depending on the welfare of others, the generosity of others to survive. But how long can that happen? And how long do we continue to deny the problem?
Well, look, when they open
They
that
can
box, when they acknowledge it, think about how many injured there are and the massive fallout, the amount of money. Because look, Cody's 21 when he's injured. He has, these chronic problems now that require so much medical assistance, so much money. I think they don't, even those who are not just bought off by Big Pharma, and that's many, and we can talk about that because they even have media outlets trying to discredit you. It sounds like, right, like Politico, which we're very familiar with here. But, and got USAID money, let's not forget Politico. The amount of money, the financial devastation of this loan is insane, right?
It's
So this
go ahead.
particular
Sorry.
Cody's law should not cost the states or the federal government any more money than it would
Okay.
if somebody were to be disabled and go on to disability. They would do that with or without Cody's law. If they go on disability with or without a vaccine injury, when the claims are expedited like they are for cancer patients, it does not increase the amount of money that the state or the federal government has to pay. People who are disabled, as you know, have paid into their disability insurance as they work. And so the claim expediting process only does exactly that. And so this is why we were dumbfounded, why we didn't get any support in Florida. I don't know if you know, but in the Congressional report in October 2024, they did acknowledge these injuries and they acknowledge the mistreatment. Their words are actually alienated and dismissed. So they have acknowledged all of these issues. Governor DeSantis and Dr. Latipo have been made well aware of that by myself, Nick, his team. We have thousands of people who have called in to Governor DeSantis, Casey DeSantis, and Dr. Latipo, as well as we went to the Capitol on the 26th of March with 100 MAHA advocates in order to bring forward not only Cody's law, but the other medical freedom legislation. But I had the opportunity to speak with Dr. Latipo one-on-one, and even after that, even after his promises to get a hold of me and to talk to me and discuss Cody's law, he absolutely has not returned my calls. I opened a case with Governor DeSantis' team. I called them after that and I said, I think something's wrong and it needs to be investigated. We don't understand why there's no support. We don't understand why we had four different both Senate and House members sponsor Cody's law, which is huge to get four sponsors on a bill and then to have it completely squashed in the committees. It doesn't make sense. So I opened a case and I have still not heard back from Governor DeSantis. So despite the acknowledgement in Congress, there was also a letter from 14 state attorney generals, a 9-page letter to HHS Becerra on December 30th of 2024, asking for them to investigate the quote-unquote mistreatment of the vaccine injured. So this law that should not put additional financial burdens on the state or the federal government for some reason is not going forward, and it seems to be that there might be some sort of something that needs to be investigated as to why, because it had so much support, thousands and thousands of people calling, writing, not just from the United States, but from the world.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Look, there's a real record. Yeah, go ahead.
So you mentioned there's a lot of fear, and I've heard that from a lot of the financial hawks that this is going to cost a lot of money one way or the other. The way Heather presents it, it's absolutely these people just need disability, just get them through the process faster. But at the end of the day, if we don't hold people accountable and we don't start saying you right, and we've given these people complete immunity. The government's pushed these things. They created the problem. And if we don't hold them accountable, it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen worse. And people
there has
need
to be
think
accountability.
About that. There has to be accountability, and somebody has to be brave enough and honest enough to step up and say, let's address the problem, and let's take one day at a time and figure out how we're going to do it.
No, there's no way around it. We're headed for a reckoning. Whether they want to ignore it for a long time or as long as they can, we're going to hit a brick wall with it. There's just too many effects, detrimental effects from these forced jabs. I'm so sorry for what your family's been through, Heather. Keep us posted on Cody's Law. There should be a way for these people to get medical care and treatment. And it's heartbreaking that even in a state like Florida that you think you have support, you really don't. There is something there. You're absolutely right. And I do think it's going to come to light. I think we probably know what it is, but I think it'll be more, open. More people will see it in the near future. Thank you both so much. And we'll have you back again. Keep us posted. This is one of those pieces of legislation that we want to follow along the path and see if you can get it implemented. Thank you both.
Thank you.
We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep fighting. Thank you, Emerald. We really appreciate you. Thank you. God bless you.